So far, initial impressions of the Veymax Mini 2S is that this is a fantastic little board. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new around here, my name is Ronan and I make product and tech reviews, and in today's video we're going to be taking a look at the Veymax Mini 2S electric skateboard. And before we get started, I just want to say that I haven't paid any money for the skateboard. Veymax reached out to me to ask me if I wanted to review it for you guys here on the channel, and I said yes. And actually, this is something that we've been working on for over a year. We've been trying to figure out a way to partner with each other. And until recently, Veymax had a lot of difficulty shipping to the EU, which is where I'm based. But now that's not a problem for them anymore. So I'm really excited to finally test out a Veymax board and see what they're like. So the first thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna open this thing up, and I'm gonna show you guys exactly what you get with it in the box. So you can actually see here, it already has some tape here that just says, please make sure the package is perfect before receiving. So this is kind of like to show that this hasn't been opened in any way. So the first thing I'm gonna do is cut through this tape. So now it's been opened. And then we just have these cardboard tabs here, and this feels familiar. So straight away, when you open up the cardboard box, you get this layer of black foam. So we'll take this away. And okay, interestingly, there's a second layer of black foam just here to protect the deck. So if we take that away, this is the board. And the next thing that I just want to point out about this board is unlike any board I've ever used before, or rather it's unlike any electric skateboard that I've ever used before, because it's a mini board. I generally ride longboards. I've never ridden an electric mini board before, so I am very keen and excited to see what this thing is like. So when we look in the box, the first thing we see is the board itself, and it's covered in this plastic. So if I just... This is the board here. So it was hard enough to get that out of the box just there, but this is what the board looks like. So we've got this kind of black or dark gray grip tape, and it feels super grippy. You can see all of the bolts for your trucks here and your kicktail here, and these bolts down the sides here and here are what hold the battery pack and ESC on here. And the first thing to notice here is the cover for the battery pack and the ESC is just one single plastic cover, whereas on any other electric skateboard I've ever used, because they've been longboards, you've had a battery pack and then the ESC is at the other end of the deck. So they've always been separate. So it's kind of the same thing inside this box, but they're just all in one box. But one thing about that is it means that this board is going to be super rigid, and it won't have any flex in the deck at all. And deck flex is something that I quite like, because the flexier your deck is, particularly if you're on surfaces that aren't smooth, means that the board is going to be more comfortable and you'll get less foot fatigue. So taking a look at this board, my first impressions are that the board is really nice. It looks really well put together. Everything's really solid. This one has the 105 wheels, the kind of like honeycomb pattern on them here. And it's the same with the sleeves on the back. You can also buy a version of this board that comes with 90mm standard kind of skate wheels on the front and PU hub drive sleeves on the back. And when I was talking to Veymax about this board, I specifically asked if I could get the version with the 105 wheels, just because I knew that they would sort of suit me and be more comfortable on the road surfaces that we have here. And then one other thing that I'm just noticing on this board right now is when I took it out of the box, this cover here for the charge port, which is right here, wasn't sitting down properly. It kind of is now, but it feels very light and very loose. So I feel like that might be kind of like easy for that to kind of flap open, which isn't ideal, because particularly in Ireland, like, it's quite damp and it's quite wet a lot of the time. So even if you're not using the board in the rain, there is a chance that the roads might still be wet even if it's not raining. But I haven't even taken this out on the road yet, so I'm not going to be too critical of that because I don't know if that's an issue. Next thing on the board that I just want to point out is you can see on the trucks here, they say refiner. So the trucks are branded and they look like they're just like a solid kind of cast steel truck. And also what's interesting about this is I can see that there's big risers on the deck here, and I think that's just because the big 105 wheels that I have here. But also there's like cutouts in the deck here and down the bottom just here for the wheels, so that if you're carving and if you're turning, means that you can kind of lean in and you shouldn't get much wheel bite or any wheel bite, hopefully. And for anyone who doesn't know, wheel bite is basically when you're turning and you're leaning on the deck and the deck kind of goes down towards the wheels. Wheel bite is actually when the deck makes contact with the wheels, like works like a brake essentially. So that's not something that you ever want when you're riding a skateboard. So that is an initial look at the board. Next thing we want to do is see what else we have here. So if I lift up this extra foam pad, we have all the other stuff. So first thing I see is the instruction manual, and I'm hoping that I won't need to read that too much. We have the charger brick. We have some stickers, which is really cool. There's a nice Veymax skate tool, and we have the Veymax logo just here. We have a USB-A to USB-C charge cable, and that is for the remote. We've got this very pretty kind of teal and gray lanyard. And we have the mains cable. So this is an EU mains cable, which is fine, but that's not the plug that we use here. But I have cables that I can use to charge this in the meantime. I'd say they sent me this because it's an EU based product, but in Ireland, we actually use the same plug as what's in the UK. Okay, this is great. We have spare Allen keys and spare bolts. And then last but not least, we have the remote. And actually the remote comes with this black lanyard on it as well. So that's cool. You kind of get two lanyards and one of them is really, really nice. But yeah, this is a Hobbywing remote, and I know this because I've seen these remotes before. I've used these remotes before. They're nice. This remote is branded on the front, so you also have the Veymax logo here as well. The remote has a lot of battery in it. It's not fully charged. And now let's see if there's any power in this board. So yeah, there's a little red light has come on here. So the board and the remote are already paired. Okay, and the board is in its slowest speed mode. So I'm just gonna wanna make that be in its fastest mode. So this board has 4 speed modes, and the board is also currently set to kilometers per hour, which is great because that's the way that we measure speed here in Ireland. But if you're in a jurisdiction that uses miles per hour, you can also set it for miles per hour. And then interestingly, if I just hit this at full throttle, not sure if you can see this on camera, but that's showing 60 kilometers per hour. So 60 kilometers per hour is an absolutely insane top speed for a board like this. And I'm confident that when I'm on the board, it will not do 60 kilometers an hour. It might do 50 or a little over 50. But if I'm being perfectly honest, I think with a short board like this, I would not be happy at that speed. But yeah, that is essentially everything that you get with the Veymax Mini 2S straight out of the box. The only thing left to do now is kind of charge everything up so that we're ready to go. And then hopefully later on, I can take this thing out and actually see what it's like. So I've come down to Waterstown Park, which is where I have done all of my initial tests for all of my previous electric skateboard videos, so that I can see exactly what the Veymax Mini 2S is like on the road. So everything is charged up, and it's a little bit cloudy today, and it was raining earlier, so I'm hoping that it doesn't rain while I'm out, because if it does, I'll have to cut everything short. I'm excited to see what this thing is like, because as I said already, I've never ridden a mini board before, so I feel like it's just going to be totally different to kind of my boosted board or any of the other electric skateboards that I've tested for you guys on the channel. Okay, so I am ready to take this thing out for its first test, but I just want to show you guys. Those clouds look really ominous. So as I said, like, I really hope it doesn't, but I really feel like it could rain. board won't fit under the gate. Okay, so we're just cruising around the park so far, and I've literally just set off. And first impressions are that this board has a lot of power. It's got a lot of power for a hub-driven board. Like, I've just come up a big hill there that I've come up before on pretty much every other board I've ever ridden, and it ate up that hill no bother. Like, I presume, like, if the batteries weren't completely full, it might struggle a little bit up there, but like with a full battery, it really just rips up there. I'm just cruising along at a nice 22 kilometers an hour. I'm taking it really easy just because I've never ridden a mini board before, and I'm really feeling the shorter stance on this board. So yeah, just my balance is just a little bit different to what I'm used to, but the board is really free. It's just cruising along. The surface is decent here, but it's not perfect, and with these 105mm wheels, I can tell you straight away, this thing is comfortable. Like, I really thought I'd be getting a lot more sort of not even foot fatigue at this point, but definitely I thought I'd be feeling the vibrations a lot more. And also, just in case anyone's wondering, I'm wearing Converse, so they have a really flat sole, so like in these shoes I tend to feel everything anyway. And so far I'm just, yeah, I'm really comfortable on this thing, like surprisingly so. Just one other thing that I want to mention super quick is I have tightened up my rear truck quite a bit. I haven't adjusted the front truck at all. Probably tighten the rear truck up a little more, but actually so far, like, I'm not going flat out, so I haven't had any like speed wobbles or anything like that. But definitely I'm finding maneuverability of this board is decent. Like, I'm making turns that probably wouldn't make on my boosted board or with a long board given how tight the rear truck is. But this thing is pretty nimble and pretty agile, which is awesome, particularly if you're going to use this as like a commuter board or a city board or something like that. I'm very surprised, and pleasantly so, about how comfortable this board is to cruise on. Okay, so I don't know if you can see this at all. The odometer currently says my total trip there was 2.3 kilometers on that lap that I just did. And the board is still showing that it has 100% charge. So even that is really impressive. So far, initial impressions of the Veymax Mini 2S is that this is a fantastic little board. I could totally see myself actually using this and commuting on this. And I didn't think I was going to say that. Okay, I've been out on this thing for probably about half an hour now, like stopping and starting, trying different things, whatever. I gotta say, I love this little board. Like, I am so impressed with this thing right now. Like, I honestly didn't think I was gonna like this board particularly much at all, because I usually ride a boosted board and it is super comfortable, but this thing has been fantastic. First thing I want to talk about are the motors. So the motors are super quiet. It's two hub driven motors, and I'm going to put the wattage and the power output of the motors just on screen because I don't know it off the top of my head right now. But essentially these things are just eating up the road. Like, I don't feel like I'm out of control on this board. I feel like I'm really locked in. I feel like I'm really stable, even though my stance is probably not quite as wide as it would be when I'm riding my boosted board. So again, I just didn't think this board was going to be particularly comfortable, but so far it has been so comfortable. I've been on smooth terrain, I've been on pretty rough terrain, and so far I felt like this thing is just locked in. I've never felt like out of control or felt like I'm going to lose it at any point. So yeah, on the whole, really impressed with the ride quality of this board. Apparently I've done 7.3 kilometers with just all the laps that I've done, and I've only used up 1 bar of battery. I'm super impressed with this range actually as well. I feel like this thing's just gonna go for miles and miles. Okay, so I just want to really quickly run through some of the specs on this board. So it comes with a custom Hobby Wing ESC, and then depending on which version of this board you get, it comes with a high capacity battery of 187 watt hours for the standard range battery and 374 watt hours for the extended range battery. The board comes with 2 600 watt hub motors, and the version that I have here comes with the 105 wheels. And Veymax say that the range on this board is 15 miles with the standard range battery and 25 miles with the extended range battery. And they say that is tested with a 75 kg rider. Alright, so I'm just back in the car, and my initial thoughts of the Veymax Mini 2S are that it is a phenomenal little board. Board was super smooth just with its acceleration and its braking, so I never felt like it was kind of gonna throw me off or anything like that. I do think if you're a beginner, definitely start out on the lower speed modes just to get used to how the board pulls away. But in general, yeah, I just found this thing really, really comfortable to just hop on and use. So the last thing that I just want to touch on very briefly with this board is the price. So there's a couple of variations of this board depending on which one you want to go for. So if you just want to go for kind of the most basic version of this board with the standard range battery and the 90mm wheels, the board costs $359 US. And then if you want to keep the standard range battery but we want to go for the 105 wheels, the board costs $429. If you want to go back to the 90mm wheels but you want the extended range battery, the board costs $569. And then if you want the top spec version of this board, which is the version that I have, it's the extended range battery and the 105mm wheels, it costs $619 US. So as you can see there's a couple of different variations that you can go for, but even if you go for like the absolute top spec version of this board, I think $619 US for what you're getting here is an absolute steal. Like, to be perfectly honest with you, I'm actually struggling to come up with things that I don't like about this board. All of the things that I was expecting to dislike about this board just aren't there. Like, it's really comfortable to use. It just cruises along. It feels really stable. It feels really well balanced. I think if you're a beginner and electric skateboarding is something that you want to get into, this is absolutely a board that you could start on and comfortably grow with for a while. But then equally, if you're like me and you have quite a bit of experience, I wouldn't call myself an expert with electric skateboards, but I would definitely say that I'm kind of like high intermediate level, and I think this is a really nice board to use. To be perfectly honest with you, I only have one concern about this board, and I said it at the outset, it's that little rubber flap over the battery cover. Like, I just worry that that would open when you're riding and that moisture would get in there and it would destroy your board. And actually, let's go check it now. Okay, so this is it here, and it has lifted up. So that is my only concern with this board, is that this doesn't stay closed when you're on it. That battery cover is the only disappointment that I have with this board, and if Veymax were able to come out with a new battery cover that was much more secure and didn't open the way that one does, I would recommend this board for everybody. 100%. I would have no difficulty recommending this board, but just because of that one issue, I would say, yeah, if you're in an area, like if you're in a country where it doesn't really rain that much, 100% buy this board. I think you're gonna love it. But if you're in a country like Ireland or the UK where it rains a lot, I would say just be wary of that battery cover. I'm even like in my head trying to think of now, like, are there ways that I can kind of seal that a bit better beyond just putting like electrical tape over it. But yeah, that is my only gripe about the Veymax Mini 2S. Okay, so that is all I have to say about the Veymax Mini 2S for now. So I'm going to leave this video here. Hope you've liked it. If you do, please give it a big thumbs up. Please subscribe to my channel, and I will catch you guys in my next video.